Well, good day to you. And it is a grand day. It started out spectacularly, I am going to be honest, and with a newness, um, an unusual sensation of energies that were different, and also quite nice. And I felt as though we were in a different place again, as though we had perhaps advanced up, or it's again into a different place. It felt changed, and there were other things that were occurring that indicated there had been change, and I was laying there, and the birds had begun singing, before the sun even began to peek over it's 5 o'clock, I think, or 4:45 or something like that, whenever the birds began singing. And there were nice little tunes, and I was like, yay, the music's alive. And then I had a solo artist come closer to the window to tweety tweet tweet their special song, which was unfamiliar to me and quite special. And I thought, well, what another treat. And this was starting out to be a pretty morning, even though I was awake before I wanted to be. And I had rested well, and like I said, something felt changed and nice. And then, and mind you, it's 6:30 in the morning, almost exactly 6:30 a.m. Right? The light's only been out for so long. It's just actually light enough to, do things, like some work of sorts. And you do understand there is a noise ordinance in any congested area. And normally that noise ordinance covers all power equipment and things of that nature, lawn mowers and that kind of thing, and chainsaws. You don't want to be running those things before 9 a.m. and not past 9 p.m. That's the general rule, and it's to preserve the peace and make sure that no one goes off half-cocked and gets shotgun and goes after their neighbor. Because people have to have expected times of peace where they can rest. Even if they don't operate on a regular schedule, there's supposed to be these. Anyway, it's 6:30 a.m. in the morning whenever this crazy man begins mowing right outside my house. I tell you, I thought, this can't be really happening. I thought, well, it must be the neighbor, the guy that normally never mows before dusk, almost, to beat the heat. And I look out there expecting to see something of that effect. No, not at all. It's the property owner's handyman guy who has taken it upon himself to show up to mow the lot next door at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. Well, okay. But I didn't sense it as that. I thought to myself, no, it's more of a energy problem, I think. A disconnection of some sort. They're trying to remedy. And this one person has stood up to me before in a couple different ways, and have seemed to, exhibit these strange behaviors, especially on times whenever the energies have been changing and the connections changing. But anyway, I had to let it go. I thought, well, I'm just gotta, this is crazy. This is insane. And I kept saying to myself as I looked out the window at him going by, I said, you've gone insane, I think. Have you lost your mind? It's 6:30 in the morning. Can you imagine all these houses around this place? And there's, let's see, Us, the next door, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses that this guy has decided needs to be, subjected to this noise at 6:30 in the morning. I let it go. I thought, well, okay, he's trying to beat the heat. That's all. He probably has a lot of different properties to visit today, and but not only did he do that, after a while, I got up, and on his very first pass, the darn thing got hung up on a tree stump or some. I think it was probably vines, because he mowed in a place where I don't think anybody normally mows because of vines. So he was, for 15 minutes at least, probably, he was down on his side trying to untangle all that junk. So it took about 45 minutes for him to finish the thing. At this point, I've already started coffee, okay? Thinking, well, we're up now. and I praise the good Lord for the peace that He's given me. I am so happy and grateful for the light, the joy, and the peace that I have, and for these good friends and helpers that the Lord has brought me, and these that have been showing me great love. I very much am grateful for. Otherwise, I probably would have been saying, I'm going to blast this guy and go off like some postal worker or something. Shaking your fist at the sky or something, or the devil, one of the two. But I let it go. I was like, it's hot. I understand. He's trying to get ahead of the schedule or ahead of his job list and get the work done, even though there's really no excuse to be outside my house whenever the lawn was only 2 inches tall. I'm telling you, there's been people, they showed up next door with the house behind me. I thought it was twice in 1 week, one time. And they're in play too as far as energy goes. But whenever we got out the gas weed eater, and he looked up at me, looking at him through the window, and he acknowledged me, and I started shaking my head no, and he started shaking his head yes, like, oh yeah, this is happening. I understood that the man needed attention, and he needed me to address him personally. So I walked away, and I thought, this he really isn't going to do that. He was having a hard time starting. I thought, maybe it won't start. And so I walked away, and but sure enough, within 30 seconds or so more of pulling on the darn thing, it fired up. And he went to, you know how those things are, just as loud as any damn thing could be, except maybe a chainsaw. I realized, he really did need to talk with me. He needed my attention. That's why he was here. So I did open up the back door, and I yelled out at him, and he let off the trigger, and I yelled at him again, and finally he shut her off. And I said, I was just wanting to ask you something. And he said, yeah, what is it? And I said, have you lost your mind? And yes, I did use that word. I did say, have you lost your fucking mind? I did. Because at this point, you're outside the normal operational parameters, is what I would say. And you're in an extreme point. There's a problem of some sort. So, let's get to it, right? Let's find out exactly what we're doing. And he was explaining to me about how the land owner, had said, at first I talked to him about the lawnmower, and he was saying, I gave him the out. And I said, I figured you were just trying to get ahead of the heat, and you had lots of properties. And he's like, oh yeah, I got 4 different properties and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. I said, but here's the thing. He started telling me about the property owner was like, you got to make sure the weeds are clear of all these air conditioning units and blah 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 or something like that. And I said, there's no weeds. There was nothing but ivy around it. It wasn't even up on the foundation of the darn thing. They'd cleared it away some time ago, and it was clear. Okay? And he's like, well, blah, blah. I said, look, I've got a cardiac patient on the other end of the house, and they don't want to be woke up. They're not going to feel very good about this at all. And he's like, oh, well, okay, I guess I could wait till later or something. I said, yeah, or you could just wait until you beat. He started working on a tree that had been growing up near the back. And I was like, this has been growing here for 6 months. We could. There was nothing pressing. The lawn didn't need to be mowed. There were no weeds to be knocked down around the air conditioning unit. The tree, like I said, that had been growing there near the back porch has been growing there a minimum of 6 months, and it grows back every year if it's ever taken out. Because nobody attends to that, it's not an issue. So it certainly isn't an issue at 7 o'clock or 7:15 in the morning, all of a sudden, for no damn good reason at all. Other than, well, we've got this work we're going to be doing, it's hot. Yeah, it is, ain't it? Come on. But he wanted to give me like excuses and reasons and tell me about the property owner. Now, the property owner is not just the property owner, and it's a father and son duo. But they're, and I like them. I always have, and I always try to treat them well because they treat us well. They have a garage and they do work on our car and they take care of us well. They give us good, fair prices for a really good job, and they've always taken good care of the car, and I can expect that from them. That's a given. They're honest people like that. It's good, honest, working group of people. It seems like. So we always try to treat them well and show them as much respect as possible, and I know they do the same for me. So I am not complaining about them, and I'm really not complaining about these. I'm making a notation, all of you, about this bizarre behavior. But I did have to call the landlord that he did mention because he was acting as though that man had told him to come down here and do this at this time of the damn day or something, or I should say the blessed day. And I guess I felt like I needed to address it to him at that point, since I was being inundated with this at 6:30 in the morning. And I do know the man was up by that point. He's going to be at work at 8 a.m. And that's what wouldn't you be, wouldn't you feel that something like this was beyond what was acceptable? There's no one else that does this. No one is going to get out and mow their lawn at 6:30 in the morning. There's not anyone that's going to be running weed eaters or chainsaws before 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And basically, they never begin before 9 a.m. unless it is extremely hot and there's a construction job that they're trying to get started a little early, and they'll work as quietly as possible before 9 a.m., before the hammers start falling, before power equipment fires up. And it's because out of respect for people's peace, they're supposed to be able to expect from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. a certain level of peace. I think we need to get rid of Wi-Fi. What do you think? It's getting awfully damn noisy out there, don't you think? It's they always say we can't go back. I don't know why. I mean, it's a contrived world anyway, so and there's always excuses and reasons for everything as far as I know. But I will say this about today's event. It kind of confirmed a few things. I know they're not going to be out there unless there's something going on. And I think it's about energy, and they were trying to be connected to us. Again, this is not personal. As I progress, there will be connections that naturally drop off. It's not personal. There's no anger about it. It's not that we want to see anyone harmed, particularly, per se, or any such thing. It's simply symptoms of what has to occur. And it has to occur because of all the things that did occur and all that was ignored. This is why 16 years ago I began trying to gently put out there that, there was these other considerations that you have to keep in mind. And, you can't count on this, and you better be planning for the other things and da-da-da-da, because out of consideration and respect, we didn't want to just blindside everybody that was involved, and they be found out in a bleak place without any other options. In other words, we were trying to give everyone plenty of time to make plans, come up with options, because we can't stay after all the damage and everything that was done. I'm sure it was all made up, The mind was made up about everything that was going on by the time we got to this area. You know what I'm saying? When anger was taken from me, again and again, you can look back through it and you can see all these waypoints that signified that we were going a specific direction and that we would end with specific results, which would, of course, like I said, it would be preventing others' plans regarding this, that, or another. And again, it's just some people can't go with. That's all it is. They got the wrong vibration for where we're going. That's all. It's not that we hate them or that we couldn't have enjoyed their company or had fun with them in regards to this or that. Or it's not that we couldn't have worked with them perhaps in some capacity to cause positive change, which I still kind of doubt this, since it's all such a conflict. They'll have to choose the opposite of whatever, which means it's a nothing burger kind of deal that it's not going to go anywhere, and it's something to abandon, which is what we have been forced to do out of self-preservation and out of respect to our Father in heaven, all those above, them who love us, and our family of light. After the damage was done, everything since then was just, for the last 16 years, it's been nothing but delay, useless, damn delay, and us being prevented and held back from what we were supposed to be getting to. That's basically all it is. And so now we're going to continue on up and progress and be in more connection with them that we're supposed to be in connection with. And like I said, these other connections will just fall away, even if I don't do anything. But I do pray about, not being connected to any of these people who are exceedingly bad for us. If your state of being is degraded because of their energetic connection to you, then something's very wrong there. It certainly does signify a great deal of incompatibility when they are, in fact, just simply a degradation to you, a drain, a darkening of you and your light. It's not that they would consciously want to do that, perhaps, but yet still it goes on. And like with some of these, I wonder if they intentionally mean to do this or that, or if it isn't something that's with them that jumps out and says, hey, I'm going to, because I can tell they don't seem to be very much in control. Or, well, it's just, it's very strange, isn't it? But, again, birds of a feather flock together. And the reason why, of course, is because there's no friction between us that are us and them that are them. They have no friction between them that are them. Oh, wait, that's right, they do. They eat each other. Ooh, damn, I'm glad we're us and not them. Aren't you? Yes, I'm trying to be facetious. Only the problem is every time I try to laugh and make light of something or show that I am happier or anything like that, then the monsters, they seem to be hateful of our happiness. I don't know. What would you think about this lawn mowing incident? 6:30 a.m. What would you think? Would you call the landlord and say, "Hey, did your employee lose their mind? Have they lost their mind?" I told him, I said, "Well, don't worry about it. I just thought I should tell him though." And I said, "I'll see you here in a couple of days. I need for them to do some work to the car anyway." They might be dark wizards or something for all I know, Satan worshipers like so many people these days, but they know how to operate. They know how to conduct themselves, and I have a lot of respect for those men. They have a good family unit going on there, and a good business, and they're just. If they weren't for God, I'd be thinking, why aren't you? You guys seem like you're real normal in also darn many ways. You got the right values and all that stuff. Family values, right? So what would you guys think? Is this a hilarious movement that's signifying the beginning of that new chapter they'd been talking about? And yes, I saw something about love and lovers and stuff. And golly gee, just as long as you don't get between me and God and you're for me and my God, I think everything will be okay. I'm looking for good people that are, that kind. Those that are dedicated to the light. Those that love it. Because I love it. And those that are going to be with me, they got to love the light too. I mean, seriously. And I am so committed to it. It's just, once I've tasted of those things, and it did wake me up to what I am, I guess. And that would have happened a lot faster if I hadn't had dragons and things standing on top of me. We all know that, though. That's a kind of obvious point, isn't it? No reason to belabor it further. Again, I'm very happy about the one princess out there who was given such a really straightforward message. It was notable enough that I saved it, thinking maybe I might want to watch this again someday. So yeah, I thank you so much, all of you who are in support of us, and I am praying for all of you that is loyal and sincerely loving of us. Thank you so very much. So very much. God love you. Heaven love you. I know I'm going to. I know I do.